top 5 most unhinged moments that Democrats have sort of placed themselves in here over the last 8 weeks or so. I kind of like to refer to it as a look what you made me do type situation.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could call this the 80-20 list. The issues that Trump has taken a position that 80% of Americans share, and for some reason, Trump derangement most likely, Democrats have taken the 20% side on all of these issues, essentially just like setting themselves on fire, trying to just oppose Trump for its own sake.
The media is broken. For decades, big cable and legacy media filtered information to hide the truth. But thanks to podcasts like the one that you're listening to and new media around this country, the truth can break through, providing voices and views that legacy outlets we know well will not air. But big cable still has a major way of controlling information: access. They do this by limiting access to something called spectrum, the invisible airwaves that power affordable wireless internet, and by forcing you to keep their bundles, the old cable package bundle, keeping independent media out of reach. Trump and Republicans in Congress have a huge chance right now to get this right by making more spectrum available and breaking the big cable's stranglehold on your information. You got to tell your senator and your member of Congress to work with President Trump, sell more spectrum, and make sure that you can hear programs like the Ruthless Variety Program.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Just a catching strays over here.
You're in for a hell of a show.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Good Thursday to you, and welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. I'm Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, John Ashbrook, left to right across your radio dial, as always. A very, very jam-packed, big show. This is a 10 of 10, as far as I'm concerned. What we're going to have for you here is the top five most unhinged moments that Democrats have sort of placed themselves in here over the last 8 weeks or so. I kind of like to refer to it as a look what you made me do type situation, right? Where it's like you look at issues and the way the American people do, and they're almost all of these are 80-20 on the side of President Trump, but they're just because of Trump derangement syndrome, everything else, they literally have instant opposition to things that make them politically cancerous.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could call this the 80-20 list. The issues that Trump has taken a position that 80% of Americans share, and for some reason, Trump derangement most likely, Democrats have taken the 20% side on all of these issues, essentially just like setting themselves on fire, trying to just oppose Trump for its own sake.
Totally. So, but that's not all. That's not all.
That's not it.
We're not just doing that. We're going to play a game. We got a variety. And then we got a very special guest. Listen, I know an awful lot of you, like us, today is the first day of March Madness. We take this very seriously on the Ruthless Variety Program, and I know a lot of you do too, which is why we wanted to give you something that had you an edge for your brackets. You know, and if you're doing like single game bets and all that kind of thing, like we wanted to give you something to work with, give you a little edge. I can't think of a better guest in all of history to do that than Coach Tom Crean. This guy coached the Georgia Bulldogs, the Indiana Hoosiers, the Marquette Golden Eagles. He is a analyst at ESPN. He does Westwood One play-by-play. You can hear him on your radio for all of these games. He's a personal friend. To be honest with you, never asked about his politics. I don't know what it is. So that's not what you're getting with Tom. What you're getting is absolute expert stuff.
You're getting the money ball of bracketology.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely incredible. You're not going to want to miss it.
You're not going to want to miss it. He's a good friend, very kind of him to do it. He's like basically asked by every major network and station in the country to do what he did with us. So you're in for a treat with that, especially if you want to make a little bit of money over the next 6 weeks during March Madness. So tune in for that. Fellas, I'm so excited about this.
I know.
I'm so excited. I want to start with number 5.
Okay.
And they're not in exact order. And I think as a listener, you'll listen to these and be like, well, I'm more outraged by 4 than I am by 2. But just all 5 are so money.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
It's like, who was the best player on the Fab Five? Who can really say?
Yeah, who can say?
Yeah.
Who can say? But Chris Webber. But
Except for that timeout.
Yeah.
except for that timeout. But all of this, as you've listened to this program, we've talked about ad nauseum over the last 8 weeks. Anything that Donald Trump does, Democrats have to instantly oppose, no matter how dumb the rationale is to do it. And you saw the polls that we talked about on Tuesday, where they were down, to the 20s of approval of the Democratic Party as a result of this. This is what we're about to talk about is the reason not only why President Trump is far more popular than he was 4 years ago, but why Democrats are literally the worst opposition in the world. And they're going south. It's getting worse for them. So let's start out with number 5. Let's play this setup clip 1. What you're looking at here are Teslas on fire in the city of Las Vegas. And there is an enormous amount of damage in what we've seen as reoccurring attacks on Tesla dealerships, Tesla owners.
Oh my God! It's like sparking and exploding.
Yeah. And this unfortunately has become the routine move of the left. Everybody remembers during COVID when they were attacking a federal courthouse and when they were burning down the St. John's Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. The left is as violent as it gets, and no more so than when they're not getting what they want.
Exactly. And of course, all of this is a result of Elon Musk taking a position as the head of Doge within the context of the Trump administration, because over the last 4 years, the same people who were burning that dealership down were telling us that nobody ought to ever drive anything but an electric car. In fact, electric vehicle mandates were put in.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, their electric vehicle, the hottest selling electric vehicle in the country, is now the target of their opposition.
Yeah, I think it really shows you the left unvarnished. I mean, this is a group of people who would suspend habeas corpus before they would cut any one of these left-wing NGOs. And why Trump is so smart is that he's going after them. He actually found their underbelly and is keeping them on defense. They're all defending the climate NGOs, the trans NGOs, every single pet project of their side. They're defending it to the hilt, as if it's the end of the world, and it's all they're thinking about.
So you might.
This is just when you just see this video, it's just completely insane. This we've got Kash Patel there. I hope to God this is treated as what it is. These are terrorist attacks. They need to find the people responsible. And the other thing, folks online pointed this out. Teslas, for their safety, have like these cameras and stuff on the side so that Tesla's been getting keyed and stuff, so they get video of the person doing it. I hope they have footage of the people responsible for these attacks, and those folks get locked up.
Totally, because it is an act of terror. It's not to trash a dealership. It's not mischief. It is about trying to alter the federal government's policy.
But if you listen to the media, this is the expected backlash of a billionaire who is thrust himself into the political limelight. That's the way that they're talking about this, to excuse terrorism at Tesla dealerships. It's like the same thing after the Luigi guy murdered that healthcare CEO. And it's like, well, but can you blame him?
And also, a little bit like George Floyd.
Yeah.
There's an excuse structure
Right.
around what's happening, as if this isn't terrorizing the community.
The riots are the voice of the unheard.
Yes.
Right?
I think part of the reason why Democrats are in such shambles is that nobody is actually listening to the media anymore in the way that they once did. And Democrats do not know how to handle that.
Yeah.
With Donald Trump back in office, one of his biggest adversaries, top Democrat Dick Durbin of Chicago, is leading the charge to derail President Trump's agenda at every turn. And now Senator Durbin has a new scheme. a government takeover of your credit card. Today, Americans have thousands of choices in credit cards, all with equal strong security. But Senator Durbin's plan will result in less competition and less security. That means more risk for your credit and your identity. Tell Republican senators, stop Dick Durbin's government takeover of your credit card before it's too late. Learn more at www.guardyourcard.com.
You might say to yourself with this, how does this fall in the top 5 of positions that Democrats have taken? Surely they wouldn't condone attacks against Tesla or these bombs. Let's play clip 2.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So.
Cool, Tim Walz.
Yeah.
And if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
The guy he is such a zero. He was a D-line assistant at a school where all the best athletes played hockey, and he pretends like he's Newt Rockman. You know what I mean? Zero.
Volunteer, by the way.
Yeah.
But also, like, the way he described it, he was like, you can take that, Tesla symbol off of it. It's like, in the news, there's also been reports of, like, these leaflets being put on people's Teslas, like in California and other states, where it says, like, you have 30 days to sell your Tesla or we will, like, attack you.
Yeah.
So this is all just, the left is essentially just saying, listen, you
Full
have to
shakedown.
take that symbol off. Bow down to our side or violence will ensue. That's the implication for all of this.
Totally. And I saw a Jimmy Kimmel clip last night where he opened a funny, hilarious monologue where he does this late night show that nobody watches, where he talked about, like, people are doing all, and then he, like, ingests a don't ever attack a Tesla, and then, like, let a pregnant pause go by, and then kind of smiled and went on, thereby encouraging a broadcast medium that this was okay, that this was not something that you should be concerned about.
It's the never take cough syrup mixed up with iodine lie. That's a whitest kids you know reference for those who know. But it's like a comedy, where dark comedy, where you're basically encouraging them to do violence.
Yeah, I mean that's what's happening here. So make no mistake, they are cheering on a plummeting of Tesla stock as a result of terrorism against people who own Teslas and people who own Tesla dealerships in response to Elon Musk taking a patriotic duty to try to cut a little wasteful spending.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, think about how insane that is.
Crazy.
That's number 5, folks.
Yeah.
This is gonna get better. But I'd like to just juxtapose it. It's not enough to just you hate Elon Musk. You hate. Oh, did you miss the fucking news on Tuesday? Let's pop up clip 3.
Oh, I'm glad.
Oh, there it is.
I'm glad you did this.
There it is. That's a space capsule.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
Designed by Elon Musk's SpaceX that went up and fixed the absolute dereliction of the Biden administration and a bunch of different things that didn't work, with a crew that was supposed to be in space for 8 days that spent 8 months up there. And Elon Musk, thanks to the partnership between Musk, SpaceX, NASA, and Donald J. Trump, those people all got off of that thing and walked back into their homes. Like, without it, that doesn't happen.
And he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Can you imagine watching that, by the way? I mean, look, I was at Fox, and I sat and watched all of this on Tuesday night, and there were dolphins.
Yeah. A pod of dolphins showed up. Pure cinema.
A pod of dolphins. They had a perfect sunset and calm Atlantic waters. I mean, it was like the most cinematic, patriotic thing I've seen in a long time.
It's so funny because it feels like the Democrats are desperate to make Atlas Shrugged real. Yeah. It's like Elon Musk really is going to be that Hank Rearden character, you know, who's like they force him to like seastead and take everything away.
The juxtaposition tells you about the mental health of the modern left.
Yep.
It's crazy, dude.
The idea that you as an American can watch what we all collectively experienced on Tuesday with the return of the astronauts in a vehicle powered by SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, and say, no, he's the real problem. He's the problem. Because he had the audacity to try to suggest that $36 trillion in debt is unacceptable, that sending money for trans studies in Tanzania is maybe not the best use of taxpayer dollars, that empty office buildings across the entire District of Columbia, in our country for that matter, is maybe something that we should remedy. Because he suggested it, we ought to burn down his company. We ought to make sure that we bankrupt him. Everybody is all the dealerships, all the people associated with him, and then we ought to terrorize anybody who had the balls to buy a Tesla in the first place. Which, by the way, you're lefties to begin with. You're driving an electric car. Careful who you're attacking.
Right.
I mean, this is the brain damage, and it is hard for me to get beyond just number 5 here. Don't you think?
It's just, you see it across the board. I saw this kind of polling data chart the other day on X, where it showed white college-educated males, white college-educated females, non-college-educated white males, non-college-educated white females, and like where they stand on various political figures and issues. And there was like total agreement among all of those groups, pretty much, within 5-10 points of each other, except for white college-educated women, where they hate everything. I kid you not, except for Zelensky and DEI were the only things that they're positive. Like, this is like a serious kind of like mental health issue, because this transcends politics.
RFK, if you're listening, please.
Yeah,
we have a
please.
healthcare crisis in this country.
It's outrageous, like SSRI or something. I don't know. There's something that we don't understand here in the Variety Program that needs to be looked at. Shut it all down until we can find out what's happening here. I mean, it's truly remarkable. Listen, we're going to get to the other 4. I got to let you know, remember the Gaza Riviera stuff that we rolled out a couple of weeks ago? We got to put a hard cap on that. Too many orders.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I'm not surprised.
Or Duncan, he's been just sewing and sewing.
Yeah.
Too many orders. We're going to do a hard cap on Friday. So if you haven't gotten yours and you want it, order it now. It ends Friday COB.
Shout out to George Sosa at Cigars in Sarasota, Florida. I updated your address. You're getting it at
Amazing.
your address.
What a shout out.
Hell yeah.
And he's a great guy, a patriot and a hero, and he's a friend with my dad, and he buys all the merch. He's a great man.
I love this man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet. Someday I'll meet this man.
Yeah, we're going to go down there and hang out.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. All right, the only other public service announcement I have is Hack Madness. Hack Madness.
That's right.
The signature, the thing that we do, the thing that we started with on the Ruthless Variety Program, where we rank the top 64 hack journos that cover politics across this country, mostly in D.C. and New York. Surprise, surprise. We rank them 1 through 64. We put a bracket together. I will tell you this. We had a meeting this week where we put these things together. The seating was an intense debate.
It was awesome.
It was an intense debate, the likes of which we haven't had in years. There was heavy.
We wanted to make sure that like the picks, the people who are going into the bracket, the hacks that we pick, and where they're seated, the ranking for them really reflects their body of work and how deranged these hacks have been over the past year. And I could not be more proud. All 4 of us had such terrific input, and it was absolutely hilarious. Because like the arguments we're making of like, no, this person should be number 1 ranked, and then you read off like
somebody would pull up a story
when they're posting, you're like, yeah, they should be number 1.
I think the funniest thing about it is it's kind of just like the tournament. It's like there are hacks,
the blue bloods,
who are the blue bloods, who are like, all right, overall body of work and their legacy and everything that they've done, they deserve, right?
Yep.
And then it's like, all right, you might be there's another hack who's like streaky, who's like good from 3-point range. And it's like they deserve
and they could go on a roll over the next month. I mean, that's the thing about this, because you're voting in real time. Remember, you got to go into X, follow Smug. He tweets all of these things out and you have to vote in real time. But as you're voting, you're going to be influenced by their body of work that's happening in real time.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're literally playing.
They're playing.
Each week,
whether they know it or not.
they are playing.
And they do know.
And they know it. And they know it.
And I would just like to add, unlike the NCAA bracket, ours has integrity. We're not UNC, and we don't rig this.
Yeah.
We don't rig it.
This is a bracket of integrity.
It is a bracket of integrity.
Thank you for saying that,
Yeah.
Smug. As a Hoosier, I appreciate that.
And I think we've updated it with what best reflects the 2025 field.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This is not just a bunch of legacy names that you've thought of over the last 8 years
It's
that
fresh.
have been problematic. This is a fresh field. God, you're going to love it.
And the selection show will be on Saturday.
Yep.
You can put in your predictions for the bracket all over the weekend. And please, go on YouTube and watch the selection show because it's a real treat.
It's a real treat. Get your brackets ready. Get ready to vote. We've got all of that coming for you. And the top 4 craziest positions the Democrats have taken right after this.
Hardworking Americans know when it's time to roll up our sleeves and get the job done. Now is the time to unleash our nation's energy to create jobs, secure our future, and make life better, more affordable, and full of opportunity for all Americans. That's the power of America's oil and natural gas. Learn more at lightsonenergy.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
All right, welcome back. Listen, we're going to continue with our top 5. Number 4 has happened quite recently, and it was the opposition to deporting dangerous Venezuelan gang members. This is not something that if you would have told Democrats 5 years ago that they would have had any interest in weighing in on the particular side that they are, but now in the era of a second term of Trump, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to go no further, we have to actually bring their party leader in. Clip 4, Jasmine Crockett.
This morning, President Trump seeking to use the Alien Enemies Act, a wartime authority, a law signed by John Adams in 1798, to deport undocumented Venezuelans that the administration say are dangerous individuals with ties to the gang Tren de Aragua. That gang is obviously associated with a lot of crime, human trafficking, drug dealing, theft, shootings, including in your state of Texas, right outside of your congressional district. Do you agree with this? And if not, what's your issue with the U.S. using any tool at its disposal to remove undocumented violent people from this country?
Well, my argument is that we already have tools that are available to remove undocumented violent people from our country. And so the idea that you want to go into a zombie law, this is kind of like what we saw in Arizona when they decided to revive a zombie law around abortion. It is the fact that we
just
can't
like that.
trust this administration to actually use a scalpel, but instead they love to use a butcher knife on things. And so giving them this wide latitude to just kind of go across and just claim that anybody is anything is wrong. And so we do have courts, we do have processes, we do have laws, and we should just go ahead and use those. There's a reason that nobody else has decided to go back until into Adams' times in order to try to find ways to make sure that we can keep our country safe.
All right.
It's John Adams.
Adams times.
Sort of a...
I'm looking up some info on the year that was passed, but please continue.
Adams times.
Yeah, Adams Times. Adams Times turns out produced, I don't know, things like, the Constitution.
Right. Yeah. Jasmine, they're terrorizing people in your district. Do you support removing them? Talking point. The conference sent over some talking points, and so I'm going to say that.
It's unbelievable.
Also, the idea, she goes, well, we have all those tools. Is that right, Jasmine?
Wow.
Is that right? If you have those tools, it's pretty amazing that the Venezuelans are all in your district terrorizing your constituents, isn't it?
They're working great.
Did you notice the weasel word in there? And for people who don't work in politics, you may have missed it. But whenever a politician is in a situation where they know they're on the 20, not the 80 side of an issue, it always becomes a process argument instead of being like, we don't actually disagree with deporting violent criminals.
It's the manner in which.
It's the manner in which. They're not going to use the right scalpel. They don't have the right tool. They're just not going to file the right TPS report. And really, that's my objection to this is the TPS report.
You're 100% right.
That's it.
So I did look up the dates. When they say like zombie law, see how they they're trying to like brand it as like, oh, it's a zombie, it's a bad thing. It's too old for us to consider it seriously. It's over 20 years younger than the Declaration of Independence. So what, we throw that out there? Like all of a sudden we're British citizens again? Like they are always trying to find these insane excuses. And again, they turn it into, our problem isn't like we have a bad policy. It's how we communicate it. Let's call it a zombie law. Let's just throw out this rule because I think it's too old for us to follow.
Our entire immigration policy, if you listen to the left, should be dictated by like a poem on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
From over 100 years ago. But this old law, this is a bad one. Too much dust on it.
Do we still have West Wing on the board? I feel like that's exactly right.
No,
I don't know if we have.
So we got to talk about
this.
this. We got to talk about this internally. He doesn't deserve the board.
I'm concerned about his board work.
Do you think Duncan should get the board? I think Duncan should get the board.
We might need a board.
I think Duncan gets the board.
We might have to
Liar.
I mean, I'm gonna argue my case here. I would have been like fucking Tiesto on that thing here over the last 5 episodes, and this guy over here is not delivering. I love you, John, but you're not delivering.
The board's going to Duncan, 100%.
Yes, let's go.
But look. The zombie law, first of all, it's hilarious. She's like, just like abortion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, violent criminal,
same thing.
Illegal alien gangs ransacking your communities is just like the issue of abortion. No question about it. And by the way, just in case you want to be totally accurate about what Arizona's situation was, they did have, I wouldn't call it a zombie law, it was a law that was rendered moot by a Supreme Court decision, may have heard of it, called Roe v. Wade. And Roe v. Wade was overturned, and so therefore they had to revisit the statute that was the current law in the books once it was rendered moot by the Dobbs decision, at which point they changed the fucking law.
Yeah.
Like, these people are so dishonest.
They are.
They are so dishonest, they're so terrible, and like, they can't defend the basics.
Nope.
They have no vision for this country. The only thing that they want to do is oppose Donald Trump at all costs. And if that means they have to welcome Venezuelan gangs into their communities, so be it.
Okay, but devil's advocate here, and to echo something Duncan was talking about, there is a poem. Send me your tired, huddled masses and their Kalashnikovs and their fentanyl, and allow them to kill everybody who's living here peaceably.
May you traffic
That was good. He redeemed himself.
He did.
He totally redeemed himself.
He did, actually. That was well done. There's more on this.
Okay.
We have number 3. You guys want to hear from somebody who's fighting Jasmine to be the number 1 voice of the Democratic Party?
Boy.
I don't think there's an argument. Like, these are the top 2.
Yeah.
No question about it. But she clearly articulates one of these hot topics, which is men playing women's sports, in clip number 5.
Trans girls are girls.
Come on.
And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in 2 genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time.
Oh, did ya?
But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies. I know who loves this bill. Yes, bigoted folks love this bill.
Oh,
assaulters love this bill.
Assaulters.
But also,
Assaulters.
CEOs love this bill because Los Angeles is on fire right now. And this is the number one priority this majority has. Thank you, and I yield back.
CEOs love this bill.
I mean, literally CEOs like fully embraced when they thought they were being shaken down.
Yeah.
They fully embraced in every single healthcare plan, in communication to their employees, all of the trans stuff when they thought that the left was shaking them down and there was no way out. That's their ally in this fight. Now it's turned around, obviously, because one, it's nonsense, and they well know that. But that doesn't stop major corporations from doing nonsensical things all the time, provided that the electorate reflects back, because they're selling a product.
Yeah, and you know, it'd be one thing if this message was coming from a lunatic in the House only. It's also coming from these NGOs that we are funding until Donald Trump eliminates them. It's also coming from these activist judges who are trying to stop the president from changing policy that he was elected to change. They look at the Constitution, and these judges think it says, you know, like the Constitution says ensure domestic tranquility. And these judges think it says ensure domestic trans military.
Amazing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
This
that's a
guy
good
really
line.
showed up today, didn't he?
He did.
Based.
He did. That's good.
You know, I think my favorite thing about that AOC clip is just like all of those logical leaps, you know, to get to CEOs actually want this bill. But like in the beginning, she says, you know, trans girls are girls.
Yeah.
I've played co-ed sports. And it's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
I
kickball.
thought they were girls. Now we're talking about co-ed sports. Are you admitting they're not girls?
Wait, co-ed, doesn't that require multiple genders?
So you're saying
two genders?
men and women.
Men and women. That's co-ed, right?
So you've literally just undermined your first
Exactly.
point. You fucking idiot.
And she completely left Two-Spirit in the dust. You know, I mean, who is she kidding? She's just blowing past her entire base. What a terrible leader for the left.
But it is hilarious if you think about it. You've got like, you know, Riley Gaines, who we've had on the program, where she's competing for a national championship in swimming, and they toss a dude in the water and he wins. And she's like, yeah, I play co-ed sports. Like softball in the National Mall is not what we're talking about here,
Right.
sweetheart.
Exactly.
That's not it.
Ultimate Frisbee.
And like the idea that they can conflate this right down to the point where it makes no sense to anyone is an amazing trick. It takes a mental ingenuity, the likes of which I'm unfamiliar with. Like we've been in some bad messaging spots, fellas. You know, I mean, I've been in this since like Iraq War days, where it's been a tricky messaging mess.
The good news out of Iraq. I remember those days.
Yeah, I mean, that was Steve Schmidt's special.
Yeah, shout out Steve Schmidt.
Yeah, the Lincoln Projects guy.
Yeah.
He was the good news out of Iraq guy.
Right.
We built a new soccer field.
Yeah,
Purple
exactly.
fingers, Republicans. Nothing to worry about this cycle.
But you never get to the triple bank. Purple fingers were a big thing. Dip the thumb. It's all going to be good.
Know, like that. You know, honestly, we got to ruffle this guy's feathers more.
I know.
I do one attack on the board against Ashbrook, and he's had nothing but heat.
And he
since
took it
then.
personally. It's like Jordan if you slide it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
He's going to put up 60 that night.
Hell yeah.
I'm just saying, there is a triple bank, quadruple bank, in all of the justifications of everything that we've talked about thus far. That's a tough, like, I don't know how you look at the talking points from what your staff has produced and been like, people will follow that. They get it. Yeah. But this is what they're doing on everything. It's why they're 2080. Listen, it goes on. Let's get to
This is the one.
Let's get to number 2. This is the Hamas supporters that are here on student visas, and they're like burning down college campuses
and
disrupting
inviting
classes,
members of terror groups to speak on campus,
and traveling to funerals for Hamas leaders. As a result, like this, it's just incredible. Let's get this is graphic 1. This is Jayapal. Nobody speaks more firmly to this. Her whole contention is obviously that the student, she's talking about Mahmoud Khalil, who is a Columbia student who's been detained by ICE for running a pro-Hamas operation at Columbia University, which has disrupted the whole situation. And the best spokesperson for how insane this is Marco Rubio. Can we play clip 6?
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, on a visitor's visa, okay? You are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities, I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And he went
Pretty
on to say
straightforward.
the same is true on revoking your visa once we find out what it is that you've been up to. These folks, like Jayapal and everybody else, say this is a First Amendment issue.
It's not. It's not for one fucking second. And this is the thing that upsets me about this. And it's back to the first thing where I was saying, when you know you're losing an issue and you use those weasel words, we're worried about the TPS report or the scalpel, like the way that they're actually going to do this thing is actually our problem, right? When you're trying to say this is a First Amendment issue, it's fucking not. It's like this foreigner comes to our country, we educate them. America is under no obligation to take in people and give them a green card, people who hate this country, and educate them. I'm sorry, we're just fucking not. That is not our responsibility as the United States of America. And there's a hell of a lot of people, good, hardworking people who deserve to go to college if they want to, who can't get in. And we're bringing in fucking foreigners who hate this country.
Yeah.
And we're educating them so they can shut down college campuses and scare Jewish students? Fuck you. Get out of our country.
Have you not seen the poem on the Statue of Liberty? It says, send Hamas.
It's just so absurd.
And never let them leave.
It's so
it says,
absurd.
give them your Social Security. That's what it says.
And I have a message to every other so-called conservative out there who wants to preemptively surrender on this. I mean, get some balls.
Yeah.
Get some balls. We shouldn't I believe in free speech in this country, but we shouldn't subordinate American values and loving this country to foreign nationals who we grant the privilege of coming to this country and we educate them. That is not America.
No.
That is just not America.
And so I see this as part of what is no longer working for the left and the Democrats and what they've been doing for the better part of a decade, if not longer, which is trying to weaponize empathy.
Yes.
And
100%
blackmail
Smug. Thank you.
Americans and turn them against their own interests using emotional arguments
Right.
and distorting their empathy that they have for their fellow man, of being like, oh my gosh, this guy who was aiding and abetting terrorists, he's just a good kid, he came here for the American dream of going to college. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment.
Right.
It's cut and dry. Did he invite members of a terror group to speak? Yes. That's providing aid to a terror group. Case closed.
Right.
It's as simple as that. So they try to subvert it into the issue being, this is First Amendment. Don't we stand for something?
America should be able to survive, competing ideals and thoughts. And it's like, no, you're just trying to preemptively surrender to some fucking Hamas sympathizer.
A decade of the left weaponizing empathy has... Look at the state of what it's done to this country. Look at every major city in this country. That's what's happened to it. That's why you see people dying on the streets with fentanyl. This is why
It's
you
sick,
see
dude.
crime
It's
running
sick.
amok.
It's sick. Joe Biden put a 75-year-old woman in prison for praying in front of an abortion clinic. Obama fought nuns in court because they didn't want to cover abortion as a part of Obamacare. Fuck you. We're fighting back.
And you know what? Marco Rubio has been extremely eloquent on this. And you know who else has been? It's J.D. Vance, who last summer started saying that America is more than an idea. It's a nation.
That's right.
There are people here who are depending on each other to be able to thrive. And Democrats act like that's not the case at all.
Those of you of a certain age, I will close number 4 with this. you'll appreciate the idea that after 9/11, if we were just importing Al-Qaeda sympathizers into this country, educating them, and then allowing them to run amok under the guise of a First Amendment protection. Like you granted their visas, you let them come here, and you sit around college campuses, disrupting classes and trying to push Bin Laden's vision for what society ought to be. I don't think there would have been a lot of First Amendment protections for that.
Right.
But the only difference between Osama bin Laden and Hamas is that he had the capability of taking 2 towers down and hitting the Pentagon, and they don't.
Right.
That's the only difference, because if they could do it tomorrow, they would.
Yep.
And anybody who's been around, who's followed this for even 5 minutes, knows that to be a fact. This is a sworn enemy. This is a terrorist state. These are people who want death. They chant death to America, then they chant death to Israel. Like, this is what they want. And the idea that we have some obligation to put them in our universities and keep them here under a First Amendment, I mean, it's the wildest thing I've ever heard.
You're overlooking it, Josh. The First Amendment says every Saudi Arabian deserves a pilot's license. That's what it says. And you can't fight against it.
We say it for the next generation. There's too many people, these young kids on TikTok, who are like, oh, this Osama bin Laden guy, he's making a lot of sense. No, he's not.
insane.
No, he's not. So right after this, we're going to get to our number 1 overall. You're not going to miss it. We've got a lot to say about it. We'll do it right after this.
Hey, aren't you that PBM?
Middleman, at your service, doctor.
Don't you get rebates that save money on medicines?
Oh, PBMs like me get big rebates.
So why do patients tell me they're worried about their costs?
No one says we have to share the savings with patients.
Congress should make sure medicine savings go directly to patients, not middlemen. Visit phrma.org/middlemen to learn more. Paid for by pharma.
Okay, so listen, we've combined a couple of thoughts here for our number 1. But we think this is fantastic in so many ways because Democrats have simultaneously defended the indefensible, but then also gone on offense against working America.
Yeah.
Which is really, you might stretch 80-20 to 90-10 on this one. I mean, all of these things are complicated. People have many thoughts. 80% of people agree with President Trump, 20% with the Democrat. This one, I like, unless you're being paid by the Democratic Party or you're like wearing a code pink shirt, I'm not sure you can agree with any of this. It starts with USAID. Let's get to Carolyn Levitt, clip 7.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them.
Bingo.
This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that. And it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the reason why, outside of Donald Trump himself and J.D. Vance, she's the most effective spokesperson for this administration. The frame up with a smile is exact. I mean, everybody watches that and they're like, yep, that's it. I got it. That's all I need to know. And then you hear from the other side. Clip 8, please.
Elon Musk, you didn't create U.S. aid. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create U.S. aid, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
So that's it. I mean, everything that she just said, to be very clear, is what he is outraged about.
It's amazing.
That they're stopping. the trans studies in Tanzania again. Like that we did that. We did it. Hands up. That was what we did as Congress. How dare you try to stop us from doing trans studies in Tanzania?
Right, and he's got Ilhan Omar over his shoulder, and she's like, your money belongs to me, and I'm sending it to Somalia.
Straight
There's
up.
nothing you can do about it.
I mean,
there's video clips of her at rallies in her district saying point blank, I'm going to do everything I can to send as much money to Somalia as possible.
Yeah.
There's video of that out there, and it's insane, and it's come to an end.
When you think of the deep state, you think like, oh, well, like the CIA or like some bad agents at the FBI. No, the reality is that these left-wing lunatics have empowered an unelected bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. through all of these grants and through USAID and all these things to create this permanent bureaucracy that exists to, I don't know, publish white papers that say Donald Trump is a Kremlin asset.
Yep.
You know, like bullshit like that. Like that's what they do. And that's what they're defending. It's disgusting.
But it's an amazing thing. It's a superpower from Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I understand Trump derangement syndrome. I understand that they just hate everything that he does. But you would think there would be somebody within the Democratic Party who would listen to the list that Caroline Leavitt talked about and be like, I'm not sure that's our best stuff. Is this really the hill we want to die on? Nope, they do. Every one of them, like literally all Democrat, every single Democrat in all of Congress. Every Democrat right down to your dog catcher in your community. They all believe that same thing.
Yeah.
That this is somehow a threat to democracy, that there's someone who's auditing the books, that the $15 million mansion in Great Falls, Virginia, that has not been worried about for a second since it was purchased because it has an auto contract from the federal government for decades on end because no one would ever change it, is not of your concern, American taxpayer.
Dude, it's such a good point, and you got to hand it to Trump. He really found their underbelly in a way that I think nobody else has before. He is going after them. He's on offense, and that is all they care about. The money to the NGOs. It shows you what Democrats value.
It's incredible, but then it's not enough just to oppose that. Let's put a finer point on whose money they think this whole thing is. Like the federal government is just, it's one big bank account, and for no other. Let's get Chuck Schumer in clip 9.
He wants to use that money for tax cuts for the billionaires. The Republican Party is a different kettle of fish than it used to be, and that's why we're fighting them so hard. They are controlled by a small group of wealthy, greedy people. And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or, I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees.
Stop talking, old man.
Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay, good. All right.
More. Whoopi Goldberg is like, dude, cut. It's like Chuck Schumer. I'm not even making this up. It's like Chuck Schumer has a short position on the Democrat approval rating, and he's just trying to protect his investments.
I think it's
every single day.
It's outrageous that this guy cancels his whole book tour after the whole shutdown fiasco where he has the entire Democratic Party mad at him. And his safe space is he goes on The View. How fucking pathetic
And even
is
they're
that?
like, dude, this is not your best stuff.
We're
We got to
playing
play
them
you
off.
We got to play you off.
We're playing you off.
I mean, if you so let's just take what he was saying for a moment, where he was like, oh, it's a bunch of greedy billionaires or whatever. No, like that's actually not the Republican Party. Like that was the argument that you made in 2007 during like a TARP discussion, a bank bailout discussion of what the Republican Party may have looked like in that era of time. And like 20 years later, he's still sitting in that same spot where he thinks he can make that argument, except for the fact that every single, like just look at a poll, look at an exit poll, look at a study, look at anything. You're talking about working class Americans. And you know who makes the argument against what he just made? Not the billionaire. Billionaires sending money to the 501c4 fucking fail sons that support the Democratic Party, that support things like DEI, that support things like Hamas at our universities. That's where the billionaire is.
Yeah.
The person who says, I built this company, why are you taking my stuff? I'm employing people in my community. I support the Little League baseball team.
That's right.
Those are the people who say, why are you doing this to us? That's the message that guy is, again, it is a short on the Democrat approval rate. There's no other explanation. It is the worst argument I have heard a Democratic politician make in my lifetime. And I've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
I did love the one line he had. He was like, government is a barrier to people. And it's like, wait, I agree, dude. It sucks. That's why we're doing this.
Keep going. Keep the readers
He's
on.
like, no, it's
You look
good.
great.
Government's a barrier, guys. Come on, right? We're all cheering for that. I was like, oh my God. That's why they're playing him off. Like, shut this guy up.
Yeah, it's a barrier to people. And then he was like, oh, wait, no, a barrier to people, but a barrier to people to do wrong things.
Yeah.
Which is boils down exactly where the Democrat Party is. Your money is not your money. It's the government's money. And what it's there to do is protect you from your neighbors, because your neighbors inherently want to do wrong things to you. And your federal government that is 1,000 miles away is better equipped to deal with the problems in your neighborhood than you are.
And I would
That's what it is.
And I would also point out that those small business owners that Chuck Schumer makes fun of in that clip, do quarterly tax estimates, K-1 filers who send thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to the government preemptively to pay their taxes on a quarterly basis. And Chuck Schumer, shows up on The View and is like, you don't want to pay your fair share. And it's like, talk to any small business owner across this country. Like, they gave you their fair share, and now they're going to try to figure out if maybe they get something back. Maybe they get something back. Maybe they owe more.
Yeah, but I think you're exactly right, Josh. It's like he said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
And it's like he is actually shorting their own position, and he's trying to drive their
I hope he
number
does
down.
it more.
Yeah, because, look, he's been in a lot of heat from the left because he passed their own budget. They passed their own spending bill.
Right.
And Democrats didn't want that because Trump was going to sign it. And so the incentive structure on the left is attacked for the left. So he has to say the quiet part out loud in order to get the people to be like, well, maybe he gets it. In this small fringe, 15% that they think control the Democratic Party, which does control the Democratic Party. But ultimately, this dude, look, he's not long for this. I'm just telling you, this is the drain circling that happens when you're in leadership and you don't have the actual balls to do the right thing. When you show up and you know that the party, you're going to take a lot of heat from your base, but you can't actually just do it. You need to build expectations that you're not going to do it, like he did the day before he didn't do the government shutdown, when he knew the right thing to do at the end of the day, but he had to survive one more day.
Right.
If you're doing that in a position of leadership, I don't care if you're in the Republican or Democratic Party, if you're acting that way, you're not long for this.
You're exactly right,
You're
dude.
not long for this.
And that's because his mainstream media megaphone has more relevance to our Hack Madness tournament than it does to people in the country who are trying to figure out what's going on.
100%. Listen, that's our top 5. Our question of the day is, what is the craziest thing that you think Dems will defend next? What position do you think...
These replies are going to be incredible.
What position do you think that they can be pushed into? Because if you can defend this, anything's possible.
Ashbrook said in our production meeting, furries should be eligible for the Puppy Bowl.
They should. Why not? Right? Democrats are going to vote on this.
that.
Yeah,
right,
transgender's not far enough. Trans species.
Next Super Bowl, Beto in the Puppy Bowl.
Yeah.
If Animal Planet doesn't allow it, that's hate.
Nobody feels better about that than Gus the murder donkey. I'll tell you that much. He's very, very good about that. So you got to like and subscribe in order to do that, but we will read your comments next Tuesday. I want to get to last Tuesday's comments, which was a great question. Who's the real leader of Democrats? Like and subscribe, and all of you did. And to do this, we always start with a voice.
We will unleash the power of American innovation. We will soon be on the verge of finding the cures to cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and many other diseases.
The cure for cancer is closer than ever. But the Biden pill penalty is forcing researchers to abandon breakthroughs that could save millions of lives. Only President Trump can fix it. He'll ignite a golden age of innovation to defeat cancer once and for all. Tell Congress end the Biden pill penalty.
Okay, first comment comes from Lane Bashford, and Lane writes, the Dems have no leader, no written or spoken agenda, no message, no love for America and Americans, fewer voters, fewer donors, and no honor. They're only out for illegals and making themselves richer at our expense. They've lost their minds, and now they're losing their party. That is an excellent comment from Lane.
Totally.
Guy sees the field for what it is.
Yeah, totally. Really, really solid. What do we got, Duncan?
James Edgar writes, Jasmine Crockett is the Democrat Party leader. Why? Because her shoulder pads are so big. Many Dems think she's Jalen Hurts.
Amazing.
What a great comment. You guys are the best. Totally great. Smuggles, what do we got?
Comment 3 comes from Lori Buffington. Lori writes, the leader of the Democrat Party is Donald J. Trump. Hear me out. By his sheer existence as POTUS, they've decided as a party to be against anything he does. With this as their MO, DJT has effectively switched their positions on war, the climate, filibuster, keeping America safe from criminal illegal aliens. At this point, if Trump came out for gun control, they'd fight him on it. That's hilarious.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man, that's so good, Lori.
Lori basically did the summation of the top 5. Right there.
Right there.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
knows.
good. Okay, it's our signature game here on the Ruthless Variety Program, King of the Hill. For this week, I am the judge and jury.
Yeah.
And our competitors are...
I'm the defending champion, Rick Wilson.
And I'm the challenger, bringing back the queen, Jen Rubin.
Oh, it's been too long.
Ooh, this is good.
Let's
this is really good.
Go ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. It's time for King of the Hill. In the red corner, fighting out of her cat-filled apartment for a chance to reclaim her crown, the king. I mean, the queen, Jennifer Bahrain Worms Rubin. And now, in the blue corner, fighting out of the Daily Beast, we think, and current champion of the world, Rick Wilson.
The Rick there was legendary.
Dude, every once in a while there's a special performance.
You know you're going to get one when you make eye contact with him while he's doing it?
Yeah, he likes to see it through.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so good. All right, as judge and jury, I will instruct the champion to go first with his exhibits, please.
Okay. Spaghetti, let's do exhibit number 13, please. Rick Wilson writes, kill Tesla, save the country. And he includes a photo of Teslas on fire from domestic terrorism. Your turn.
Here's the thing.
How do I deal with that?
Here's the thing.
It's literally as they're... Can you pop that back up? What's the date on this sucker? It looks like it's... March
19th.
Okay.
March 19th.
Oh, geez. So it's literally as they were firebombing?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I picked Jen Rubin because she absolutely brought the heat. Could I please get Exhibit 6? We were talking about the Democrat Civil War on our last episode. So this is Jen Rubin weighing in. A reporter says AOC to reporters, talking about how AOC was mad at Schumer. Jen Rubin's take is brava. She should be New York Senator. The former conservative writer for the Washington Post thinks AOC should be a U.S. Senator.
Brava. I don't speak Italian, so I think I win.
I listen, that's an incredible take. Both of them are... But literally... Pop Duncan's back up one more time. I want everybody to really actually appreciate the fact that he has done this. I can't get over it. I really wanted to give this round to Rubin with that, but look at this thing, dude. It's kill Tesla, and with flames.
Yeah.
As they are actually attacking. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah. He says attack. The subheader, he's linking, of course, to his Substack, because this is all just an engagement farming exercise. Kill Tesla, save the country. The subheader is Elon has a weak spot. Attack.
Yeah.
Attack.
It's
what he
like
says.
it's like his take.
There's literally fucking flames in the photo he used.
No, it's not a close call.
He's borrowing
It
from the
wins.
left, who were trying to support Louis Zegatelli, who killed the insurance guy.
Louis Parmesan.
It's not a close call. He wins. Round 2, please, Smug.
Can I get exhibit number 2, please? This is Jen Rubin continuing her great political consultation work. Durbin isn't going to run. Mark my words. This is it. Shouldn't have run last time. Kinzinger should change parties and run.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
That's a tough one.
that is a dart. That's
Okay.
a dart.
Let me see that ante and raise you. Exhibit number 7, please, Spaghetts. Rick Wilson writes, Elon Musk hates kids with cancer.
It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. I don't need to ruminate. It's over. It's not close. This man is demented. This is a champion, the likes of which we have not seen since the emergence of Sherry Jacobus.
I know.
Now that it's not a competition, can I add? He was trending the other day on X because of a lot of this deranged stuff that he's been saying, and people are posting some of his stuff. It actually sounds like physical threats.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Cash
He may
Patel.
not be in a good place.
Cash Patel, if you're
If
listening.
you're listening, somebody needs to at least interview this guy.
Yeah.
It has gone way off. I mean, the idea that he's posting flames and attack Tesla dealerships as they're currently being attacked.
Not to mention the assassination content he was doing last week.
I thought I was
Holy
reliable.
cow. I didn't even
I
see
thought
that.
was well that was what we played our game last week.
in King of the Hill, we
Might have
played it.
blacked it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, seriously, this is we're talking like a different level stuff.
Yeah.
This guy's dealing with. Listen, we're gonna switch gears real quick here, because I want you to know, as a listener to the program, this guy is a personal friend. This is somebody I've gotten to know. Duncan and Ashbrook have gotten to know over the last 10 years. He is one of the most remarkable human beings that I know. His faith, his family, his commitment to leadership with kids across this country, teaching the game of basketball. He's not only a brilliant coach, he's just a brilliant human. And I think his whole family are brilliant humans. Again, you just heard, 45 minutes of partisan politics. I don't know what this guy's position on any of that is. He's never told me, and I've never asked. But he had the courtesy to come in here because we thought you, as a listener, want a little edge in your brackets, a little edge over the family in your pools. And boy, oh boy, does he deliver on this.
Oh, does he?
Oh,
Yes.
you guys are not going to believe what you hear. Tom Crean. I want to welcome to the program a very good friend. Known this guy for a long time. One of the very best people in all of sports. Just can't get enough of him. So glad that he joined the program right out in front of what is going to be a very exciting NCAA March Madness. Coach Tom Crean, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and it is great to be with you guys. Absolutely great. I appreciate you asking me.
Oh, man, you're making the rounds. I know this is a busy time of year, so we really appreciate it. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with Coach's work, head coach at Marquette, Indiana, Georgia. Went to a Final Four with Marquette, if I'm not mistaken, Coach.
I definitely did. I definitely did. 22 years ago. I remember it like yesterday. I'd do it again.
So do the people of Marquette. You're very, very fondly regarded there. And now ESPN analyst, and you're a voice on Westwood One for all of these things. You're like kind of the face of college basketball at this point.
Not quite that, but I do enjoy it. I mean, it doesn't, coaching is coaching when you're on the court every day, when you're helping players deal with their problems and their issues, and you're competing against teams. But the part of this that I love is it's constant game planning. It's constantly looking at two teams at a time. And sometimes in the studio, you're trying to watch 8 games at once. But there's a lot of preparation, which I love. And so I get that fill of it, and being able to really study the teams. And like I think about this, and it hit me a couple times when I was doing games this year. Like I've never seen basketball quite the way I see it now. It's like, and I know there's no emotion in it when you have emotion and you have passion, but you're not emotionally attached to what's going on. So that's different, obviously. But just seeing the game, I got a much better clear of what that term, 30,000 foot view means. I really do, and I think that I feel so good about how I see it, what I'm seeing, and I'm trying to really explain it the best that I can to people. And I'm really trying to do with viewers or listeners exactly what I would want on the other end.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes I have to tone that down a little bit with verbiage or things like that, but I do love it. And because I never want to watch anything that I'm not learning from. I mean, obviously you guys are epitomizing that with what you're doing with this podcast. And it's one of the great things that you have is people absolutely learn so many different things, whether they agree or not, they learn.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's kind of what broadcasting games is like. And so I love it, and it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to this week. I go to Milwaukee for Westwood 1 and that regional, and then next week I'll have the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 in Atlanta.
Wow, that's just awesome. Can you guys imagine the producer that has to tell Coach Crean to tone things down? I can't imagine that goes over well.
Oh, yeah. I get a few wrap it up, lay out. But radio is great because the play-by-play guy is the absolute star of the show. And I'm working with Noah Eagle, who I've never worked with, who Dwayne Wade worked with this summer in the Olympics and absolutely loves him. And I love Noah's work. His dad, Ian, is phenomenal.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then next week, Spiro Ditas, who I've never worked with. So, it's awesome being with these top-of-the-line professionals. But you get into radio and you realize, you got to be concise. You got to come up with something quickly. But the point guard is the star of the show because they are the eyes of the viewer. And I think, or the listener, I should say. And I think that's fun.
What I love about watching you, Coach, is obviously you come at things from the perspective of a coach. And you've done the hard work of player development and practice. We got to see it firsthand. I was blown away by it. But I wonder, coming from that perspective as a coach and looking at the bracket as you see it now, what sort of sticks out to you as things to look for here in the tournament?
Well, overall, I would say this. Here's how you start it when you're looking at it. Okay, look at who played late into the conference tournaments, Saturday, Sunday. Either won the championship, didn't win the championship. How far do they have to travel, and do they play on Thursday? Right off the top, I'm saying UC San Diego versus Michigan. After Michigan 3 straight games ending on Sunday, now I think they go out to Denver. I'd keep a close eye on that. Plus, UC San Diego, absolutely. UC San Diego averages 11 threes. They're excellent defensively. And as good as Danny Wolf is for Michigan, he can be guarded. Illinois proved that. They put Kylan Boswell on him as a 6'3" guard, and it really took Danny out of the game. I mean, basically. But Vlad Golden is a whole different deal. And if you don't have a post-double scheme for him, and if you don't have a real good ball screen answer for Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, you're not going to beat them. So, those are the things that you watch. Does the defense of the other team take away strengths of their opponent, not just they're good defensively? Okay, because they're good defensively, and they're only giving up 0.94 points of possession. That's all cool. But can they stop people? Do they have a defense that can legitimately stop guards, bigs, forwards? Do they have schemes that are hard to deal with? So that is a big picture thing. I think you really want to study free throw shooting, and because free throw shooting for the most part travels. Sometimes it can get contagious the other way. But not only free throw shooting, but free throw attempts. Because the NCAA tournament, above all else, no matter what anybody says, it's about how it's officiated. And teams that there is a lot of non-calls in leagues. I was a part of it. I've been beaten by it. It's just the way it is, because sometimes there are teams that foul so much each possession. There's teams that if you throw 6, 7, 8 passes, there's 3 fouls on that possession that aren't going to be called. Because the average game right now in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years has been 2 hours and 11 minutes. I think we're getting ready to break that this year with all the reviews that have gone on this year. So, but it can't go too far, right? Because those are the things that you look at. And years before, the average game in the NCAA tournament was 2 hours and 7 minutes. And the TV windows a lot of times are an hour and 57 to 2 minutes and 4 minutes. I mean, 2 hours and 4 minutes. So like, it can't get too long when TV is involved, and TV is involved. And so are they going to be able to draw fouls against a tough whistle? Are they going to be able to get away with what they get away with? And again, people on the outside don't really know that, but does this team consistently get fouled in their league and out of their league? And so when you're looking at that, like, okay, this team's averaging 26 free throw attempts a game, but they're only averaging 16 on the road. Well, that tells you something. That tells you that they're not able to get to the rim as much on the road. There's a lot of skewed statistics, but can they get to the foul line? To me, do they have rim protection? And I think that is a glaring thing right now that's come out. It's come out all year when you're watching it the way that I do, but it's really showing up right now. Like, here's a great example with Auburn. Auburn is 1-3 since the Kentucky win. So they beat Kentucky, they get home, they find out Tennessee wins at the buzzer, beats Alabama, they're the champ, right? So they're 1-3 since then. Their numbers offensively are not as good. Their numbers defensively are not as good. And when you watch them, Janai Broome has always struggled with guarding the ball. He's always struggled in pick and pop situations where he's got to recover. And so a lot of times a big that can drive him is going to be a problem. Tennessee got him in switches. So their guards and wings drove Broome. Well, here's the number that stands out to me. 34% of the points since Auburn beat Kentucky are coming in the charge circle, which means people are getting all the way to the rim. And like, that's hard to change. Now, I think Bruce is a great coach, and I got to believe he sees the same thing I see, right? Because he's there. Like, they got to get a reset. Like, they've got to be better defensively if they're going to have any chance. So, like, those are things that stand out to me. Free throw attempts, free throws, where are people getting their scoring from? Do they have schemes defensively? Shooting is big, but offensive rebounding numbers and offensive rebounding percentages, they're even bigger. Like, that's why Texas A&M is a good pick. Texas A&M a couple weeks ago had 24 offensive rebounds against Auburn when they beat them, which was the most anybody's had in this century against a number 1 AP team. Well, It's not uncommon for A&M because they lead the country in offensive rebound percentage.
Well, Coach,
that stuff travels.
Coach, you mentioned that Michigan game. I'm wondering if you see any other potential early round upsets. A lot of people are talking about Yale.
I don't see Yale doing that with A&M. I think Yale is good. John Poulikitis had 27 points in the second half the other day after having 2 in the first half. Like, he's an NBA player. Bez Mbang is really, really good. They've got a great offense, but that A&M physicality is for real.
Yeah.
And they get the rebounds. And I just think over the course of a 40-minute game, that is hard to deal with. I think one to really watch is Colorado State, Memphis. If Memphis doesn't have Tyrese Hunter, see, PJ Haggerty's a great guard, and Memphis did a good job in the tournament. They had a lot of close games at the AAC in Dallas, or Fort Worth, I should say. But if without Tyrese Hunter, that puts a ton of pressure on PJ Haggerty. And Colorado State is a 5-out offense. 5 players on the floor can make plays. And Nick Clifford is going to be in the NBA. And if there's not enough distractions around that program because Nico Medved is rumored for jobs, that team is going to be locked in. I mean, because you see it on the floor. So that's a 5-12 that I'm watching close because I love Colorado State because that offense is so good. Here's another one. Utah State against UCLA. Utah State averages 81 points a game. They got a kid named Ian Martinez that can really play. UCLA has not been so good when they come east. And now they got to go to Providence. And that's I believe it's is it Providence? I can't remember where they've got to go.
I think that's right.
I don't exactly remember, but that's, to me, I could be wrong on that, but like, I'd really keep a close eye on that because UCLA has struggled out east. Now they got to turn back around and come all the way back east. They're really good at home. When they got on a 7-game winning streak, they didn't leave the Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
It's like that stuff matters, even this time of year. And
this guy's making us money on the brackets right
now.
This is just gold.
I'm changing my
Here's
picks.
The thing to me, guys, live betting is at a premium right now because you can tell early on if that team is connected or not. And we could talk a whole podcast on the psychology of teams in this new NIL and portal era. But every kid in the locker room of these teams, they know what the players are doing. The coaches may not know, but the players know. They know who's leaving. They know who's transferring. They know what they're looking for money-wise. And they've got all these kind of people in their ears about, you need to do this, you need to do that, you're not getting paid enough, this school wants you, that school wants you. It's all going on, right? And that's not even including the guys that are going pro. You've got to be connected on game night, game day. And that is the hardest thing, because you can be struggling and you get into this environment and all of a sudden you see a couple shots go in and guys are revved up for each other because now they're not worried about where each other's going. They're locked into winning the game. Well, you can also see a team that goes in, gets distracted. They're down 18-6 early and they don't feel like fighting.
Yeah.
And that's why I think live betting, if I was a bettor, I'm not, but if I was, I'd be all over live betting. And I learned a lot about that at being at ESPN because we've got the bet shows and things like that. But I'd be all over that.
Early runs against top seeds are something to take a look at, is what I'm hearing.
Well, but how do they respond?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how does the team that the run is against respond?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you now, in life and in basketball, you can let go of that rope a lot easier right now. Like, if you don't feel like you can get it going, that's why finding teams that got dogs, finding teams that are connected, finding teams that are older, finding teams that got those one or two juice guys that get everybody else revved up, like those are worth their weight in gold because there's not a ton of teams that are like that. Mm-hmm. And that's stuff to watch as you go through this. The free throw shooting is huge. The free throw shooting, the rebounding, and the rim protection. And do they have decision-making guards? Because high turnover teams travel too. You know, defense travels, rebounding travels. So do high turnover teams because that usually means they're sloppy passers.
Mm. I want to get your sense of the state of the game with nil and everything, but I got one more bracket set of questions for you. There's always these gritty mid-seed teams that come out of conference tournaments, not necessarily all the way to the championship, but they're playing decent ball. And you look at like a Missouri or like a BYU or, you know, those kind of teams that aren't necessarily on anybody's bracket going deep past the Sweet 16, but they're pretty solid teams. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. And those two are great examples, just like my A&M example. Absolutely, because Missouri gets fouled. I'm not sure exactly where they sit at today, but they were the leading free throw attempt or free throw percentage, team that was being fouled the most in the country at one point in the SEC. That's a great example, you know, because they were getting fouled in the non-league too because they were winning. And what he's done, what Dennis has done, teams that really attack matchups and teams that can run, you know, misdirection, which is this. Okay, we're going to send two guys down on a double stagger for a shooter in the right corner. We've got another shooter in the left corner. The guy with the ball at the top of the key makes everything look like it's going right, but he breaks it down and he can attack to the left because he sees a gap. Misdirection is big. Isolation is big. There's a term bully ball, which is really big. And the best teams, this is where Mike Krzyzewski, one of the reasons Mike Krzyzewski was who he was because of this. When they got to 5 team fouls on the other team, everything was about getting to the bonus. There was no more random play calling. There was no more let's take a jump shot. Everything was to get to the bonus. And then, lo and behold, like when they would get to 8 team fouls, everything was about getting to 10 because now you're in the double bonus. And see, from where I sit, it drives me crazy. There are not nearly enough teams that understand how to manipulate the bonus and how to get themselves into the bonus quicker. I mean, it's nothing to be watching a game, doing a game on television, watching it, and for the fouls to be 6-2, and all of a sudden you look up and they're 8-8, right? Because the team didn't take advantage of the bonus, and then they fouled and let the other team in. And see, like that stuff's real, man. And there are great statistics on when you get into the bonus at the 12-minute mark of a half, you got an incredible winning percentage. I mean, you got to have some other things go right, but you're going to dominate the foul line. Bob Knight's Indiana teams back in the day were famous because they always made more free throws than the opponents attempted. And like that stuff's real. And for the people that are putting money on the line, for the people that are studying the brackets, that's the stuff to study. again, it's got to be officiated in the right way. But if you were getting fouled all year long, if you were getting fouled on the road as well as at home, you're probably going to get fouled in the tournament because you've got a pretty good plan on doing that.
Well, so much of what you just described boils down to good coaching, and you are, amongst all of the people that I've known for 10 plus years, one of the biggest students of leadership that I know. And as you look about college basketball, obviously huge transition time with NIL, with transfer portals, all of this stuff, not in its infancy, but certainly at the first few years of really changing the game. Are there coaches out there that you think are handling this particularly well? And, in contrast with folks like, Bennett for Virginia, others who've just decided, this is not what I do for a living.
Well, I think there's some of that. I think the Jay Wrights of the world, the Tony Bennett's of the world, I think they all had different reasons to retire. Okay. Right? I really do. And did NIL and portal play a handle in that? No question it does. Same thing in football. But everybody's got different reasons. I think first off, people have grasped this at different levels and at different time periods. And football was ahead of it in a lot of ways more than basketball was at the beginning. Okay. But like Tom Izzo's a great example. It's not like he's sitting there with no money. Okay. So he's bringing in some transfers and they're paying their own players. But he decided he had such a good culture over this period of time. Remember, he's been there 30 years.
Yeah.
He was able to keep that going. See, there are very few people that can do that. And if you look at the people that lost jobs last year, and if you look at the people that are losing jobs this year, there's a lot of different reasons, right? But I'm pretty sure that how they spent their money and how they built their roster, and even in all honesty, how the assistant coaches or the general manager viewed what was important to the head coach. If head coaches have a weakness right now, not the best ones, okay, but if they have a weakness, it's getting their assistant coaches and their staff to understand what works for them. Who can they coach? It's not about how much money this guy costs. It's not about who's recruiting him, just like it's never been about the recruiting lists. If it was about the recruiting lists and the rankings, I would have never gotten Dwayne Wade. I would have never gotten OG Anunoby. I would have never gotten Victor Oladipo. We just wouldn't have done it, right? Because we'd have been following the rankings. That's not reality. Reality is who fits you as a head coach and who can play the way you want to play. And during COVID now, it was crazy. My last year at Georgia was the first year of the portal and the first year of the NIL. My last year at Georgia, I only had 2 players on that whole roster that I ever recruited in person. Everything else was Zoom. Everything else was Zoom and video because we went through that 2-year period of COVID. And
was one of them Anthony Edwards?
Well, no, he was. We lost him his last game. No, I've seen him now. No, we lost him on the last. We beat Ole Miss in the conference tournament, and COVID broke that day, and the tournament was shut down the next day. Yeah. We were going to play Florida that afternoon, and that morning is when we got word that the tournament shut down. So not only did we end the season, but we never were able to go out and recruit again and try to replace a guy like Anthony Edwards. And it's a little different. Like, we were starting to play really good basketball again at that point after beating Ole Miss, but we weren't going to replace Anthony Edwards. I mean, it was unique. I mean, at the end of the day, he really didn't want to leave home. And he believed that we could help him because of the background of coaching Dwayne, coaching Victor. But at the end of the day, his comfort zone was his family. He lost his mother and his grandmother when he was in the 8th grade. So he was being raised by his sister. He was being raised by his brothers, and he didn't really want to leave them. And I mean, they knew that was coming when he went to the draft, but he didn't need to have it happen too soon. And so we weren't able to replace that. But it's hard, and now it's not hard because you can watch film all year long. There's no question that conversations are going on. I think Kevin Willard said it best, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But I remember him, the portal opened, I think he said on November 11th or November 7th, which was the start of the season. Well, he's exactly right, because now everybody's being evaluated. And anybody that thinks conversations are not happening with kids and third parties and even some coaches on staffs is not in reality. It is happening. Like I said, there's very few locker rooms right now where the kids don't know who's leaving and potentially where they're going and how much they're looking for money-wise. But they still have to come together on game night. And the coaches that can get that done are great. Well, that's where Izzo, Shaka Smart, those guys are a little different. And if you've had a little time to build your culture, you've got a chance to sustain it.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and you've got to have a really good amount of money. I doubt there's anybody in the SEC. Maybe somebody's at $2.5 million, but I'm saying that's ranging anywhere from 3 to 4, 5, 6. There's people upwards of 8 and 9 million in that league in basketball alone. And they're not outliers. All right, they're not outliers. I mean, if you're reading about the money, it's probably within 20% of being true. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way, because there's some people that they just don't really have a budget, and there's some that do. But I think you better have unbelievable talent evaluators on your team. You better, on your coaching staff, you better have very good player developers, because I think what's happened in this day and age is because people see the portal, they see NIL, they see people leaving all the time. They've lost the view of how important it is to get the individual player better during the season. Not everybody is. I'm not saying everybody at all. But there's more that are just focused on their scheme and their team and their X's and O's than they are on really building players.
Yeah, it's like the one thing we saw firsthand when we went down to Crean's coaching seminar we watched is the player development component. And I'm glad to hear you say that, because I do think from a fan's perspective, it is a little bit frustrating when you see guys that come in with an awful lot of talent that are very raw, that you know, unless you're a blue blood program, unless you're with Tom Izzo, you're basically concerned that this is all you're going to see of them, right? And then you look back to Coach Crean and what you did at Indiana and throughout your career, it was the player development piece where you took somebody who was, you know, sought after, but also made them basically an NBA superstar in the process of the years that they were with you, and they were willing to do that because they'd bought into the culture. And from a fan's perspective, well, I guess what you're saying is you got to shop pretty carefully as a program for a head coach that still values that.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's gotten harder. And I really noticed this my last couple of years at Georgia, because we were starting to get more transfers. And my last year was the first year of the portal. We got just drilled in it, right? When we lost guys and we brought guys in that we didn't really know. And they were good people. But what I found was really, really hard, and I've talked to other people about this, because of the amount of moves that people make. And they make the moves long before they get to college. They make them in high school. They make them on AAU teams. They make them in prep schools. It's so hard. If you get a person that is not willing to change, like one of the people you saw when you came up was a kid named Max BFL. Max is from Peoria, Illinois, went to Michigan. He was a backup 5, graduate of Michigan. And he ended up being an MBA graduate of the Indiana Kelley School of Business. And he shot 27% at Michigan. Like when I watched them on film, I said, this is fixable. This is absolutely fixable. So he comes up on a visit. He and his dad are in there with us in the film room. And we're showing him the things that we're showing him why he's missing. And then we go on the court, because you could work the players out at that point if they were on an official visit inside of that transfer part. And we get him out on the court, and like he was enthralled with it. There was energy from it, even in that workout. Well, we get him on campus, and we're coaching him every day. He goes from being a 27% three-point shooter at Michigan to a 47% wow. three-point shooter in 1 year.
That's amazing.
He goes from being the 6th man of the team at Michigan to the 6th man of the year in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And we don't win the championship, and we don't go to the Sweet 16 without him. There's no way. We don't do it. And it's because he was willing to change. He was willing to step in. He was willing to get his non-shooting shoulder, and he was willing to be coached. And what happens is people struggle. And this is what's so big in recruiting. And now you can do it more. You couldn't do this off Zoom, but you can do this because you can see them in person. Do they really want to change, or are they really comfortable with who they are as a player? Because you can be averaging 15 points a game somewhere and think that, and you can be averaging 5 points a game and think you don't have to change, but you can be somewhere and you can be so comfortable with what you're doing that you don't want to change it. You're okay being at 33% from 3 if you're averaging 15 points instead of being at 42% from 3, maybe averaging 12, maybe averaging 18, but you're a much more efficient player. It's hard for coaches to get across to people that don't want to learn or that are unwilling to change. That efficiency is what matters.
A lot of
It's not your numbers. It's your percentages and your efficiency that's going to get you drafted.
I'm going to take this entire interview and I'm going to put it into Grok and have it make a bracket based on everything you said.
Seriously.
You have about 24 teams.
A lot of life lessons in that, too, right?
It's true, though. I mean, you live with it every day. I mean, you see it in your world. It's like, that to me blew me away because and where you see it a lot of times is not only shooting mechanics, but in really wanting to learn range.
Yeah.
And you would think in this day and age with the NBA range and Steph Curry and all those things that people would truly understand. Hey, it's way more than having 3-point NBA range. You've got to play. When we were I didn't do this at Indiana. We had the NBA line down at Indiana, but when I got to Georgia, we put in a 4-point line that was 33'8" because I learned it from the NBA. I learned it from Brett Brown. Like, spacing screws coaches up a lot of times because they think that means that's where the players got to shoot from. Yeah. No, that's where they got to be positioned so you can create movement, you can create long closeouts and play the game in space. And there's still so many teams that don't understand the value of spacing and the value. And it's like there's so many different offenses that come over from Europe or come over from the NBA. And people think because it's a hot, fad offense, well, we're going to run it. 5 out is like that. It's not 5 out if they don't have to guard your 5-man. It's not 5 out if they don't have to guard one of your players. And that's another thing to watch in this tournament, because this happened to Carolina last year in the tournament. Michigan State didn't guard Elliot Cadeau, and he played on the perimeter, and they got away with it. Grant Nelson at Alabama was the defender on Elliot Cadeau in the Elite Eight, and they didn't get away with it because there was no real answer to move let Elliot Cadeau run. Now, he's better this year. You can't do that to him this year. He's playing at a much higher level. But last year, he wasn't much of a shooter. So what happens is when somebody takes somebody off their man, there's no space for everybody else. It's a one-man zone in the paint. And when you're watching the tournament, that's where the live betting comes in. If you see somebody that's not guarding somebody and they don't have an answer for it, you got free money because it's really hard to change that.
I mean, this is a guy, just listening to you, Coach, you're not done coaching. You're not.
I want to coach again. Definitely. I love what I'm doing, but I want to coach again. I just want to go where it matters, right? Because that's what I've been fortunate to do. Even at Georgia, we set attendance records the first 2 years, then COVID hits. But I want to go where it absolutely matters. I want to go somewhere. It's not about the level. It's more about if have they won and the fans love it, and if you get winning again, the fans will come back. Yeah, that's what I want more than anything.
Might I interest you in the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers?
They know what they're doing. I think they got a pretty good idea on what they're doing. I would think.
I hope not.
I love Ben Johnson. I thought with Ben Johnson, I don't know if you know him, Josh, but I thought Ben Johnson, because they don't have much money in there. And no. You talk about a team. They got treated like a mid-major last year with the best players that they lost in the sense of, and I'm not saying Minnesota's a mid-major at all. I'm saying they were treated like that in the sense they didn't have money to keep Elijah Hawkins, to keep Pharrell Payne. They didn't have money to do that.
Totally.
Hawkins is on a top 10 team. Pharrell Payne is a huge player for Texas A&M. That team would have looked a lot different, Jamison Brewer's in the NBA, after and got, I think that's his name, that was at Minnesota the year before that, correct? They transferred to Ohio State. Like Ben had some dudes. He just wasn't able to keep them. And I think what he did coaching-wise, especially going out to California and beating UCLA and USC late in the year, I thought he did a great job with that. So that's a great program. And Ben certainly didn't hurt it, but they've got to get behind that in a big way, because that's the kind of place you can win big because the fans love it. You just got to have some NIL resources now and some creativity on how you're going to do that. And I think that program can be right back where it needs to be.
No, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating stuff. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all this. I do have to ask you a couple of things. First of all, how's Joni and the kids?
They're great. They're great. She's here. She plays a lot of tennis. We live in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, which is right outskirts of Sarasota.
Yeah.
My parents is great.
My parents are down there at
where at?
At Palmair in Sarasota.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, we drive by it all the time.
I was just down there 2 weeks ago to play in the member guest with my dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Joni plays tennis out there. She
Wow.
plays tennis. She's in a league and they play tennis out there. They have a team out there too. So I've been there to watch her play tennis.
Wow.
That's awesome. Our daughter Ainsley, who you met when she was a little girl. You guys did She's a Freshman at Auburn. Loving it.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Riley is in his 3rd year with the Dallas Mavericks as assistant video coordinator and in player development. He absolutely loves that. And our Megan is 29 and living in New York, working for ARMRA, which is a really good hydration colostrum company that she's excited about. She's living in the heart of New York City over by Central Park on the Upper East Side and loving it. We miss having them around, but they're happy. And as you guys know, man, and you'll learn if they're young, if your kids are happy, you're happy. And no parent and a parent is only as happy as their unhappiest child.
That's 100% correct. And for the listeners who don't know, you also, Joni, are maiden name Harbaugh.
Absolutely.
So I imagine you keep up fairly frequently with a couple of NFL head coaches.
Absolutely. I talked to John for a long time yesterday because he's really he's so locked into building this Harbaugh coaching academy. And we did a clinic last year. He kicked it off. He had a clinic for coaches at the Raven Center. And I was on the panel with John, Joni's dad, Jack, and Bill Belichick. and we did an hour panel clinic, man. It was awesome. And but he's really into that. And their daughter, I haven't seen him quite as much as my family has because I've been gone with basketball. But John's daughter, Allison, is a 3-year grad of Notre Dame. And now she's one of the top players on the lacrosse team at South Florida in Tampa, which is an hour from us.
Wow.
And so this is their last year. So they come to quite a few of the games. And our family will see them some. And so
can you imagine what the Thanksgiving table looks like with Jack and Jim and John and Tom Crean? I mean, like, you got some stuff going. There's some leadership lessons going on at that
It's all
table.
fun and games. It's all fun and games till somebody brings out something competitive.
Yeah.
Then there's no more. Then there's no more fun and games. And in that environment, I just go to the side because Jim will do whatever has to be done to get the win. Whatever, right? And it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's a holding your breath in the water contest like he used to do with our kids. And Jim is going to win, right? So you say, like, why am I going to fight this? Why would fight this? Right?
I could ruin the family
great,
fighting this.
They're great. It's an unbelievable family to be in. And like I always say, I got the best looking Harbaugh. I got the most competitive Harbaugh. And I outkick the coverage big time.
Yeah, no question about it. Coach, we can't wait to listen to your calls on Westwood One, all of your analysis on ESPN. We think the world of you, a great family man, a good role model for any kid who's looking to take a next step in basketball or just generally leadership. Coach Tom Crean, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And as you know, Josh, all of you know, I've learned so much from what you guys do. So much for how you manage, lead, orchestrate, campaign, you name it. I've learned so much from there's such a great value to learning when it comes to coaching, leadership, especially recruiting. You know, all the things that you deal with, there's really no greater vehicle to learn from than watching politics and political operations unfold and how people do it. And I felt like that way for a long time and studied it long before I met you guys. And it's awesome to know you. And it's really awesome to follow you and to see how you do things. And I learn something every time. So I really, really appreciate being on with you.
You're the absolute best. Coach Tom Crean.
I just love this guy so much, and I think you said it best, Holmes. This guy is a lot of things. I think chief among them is a role model. Yeah. You know, I think this is a guy who everybody should strive to be a little bit more like, and just a treat to have him here on the Variety Program.
Totally. I mean, every time I hear him speak extemporaneously when he's not doing analysis or whatever, if he's doing a speaking engagement across the country, I listen to it because I learn something, but two, I'm also reminded like all my shortcomings. Mm-hmm. Right? He sees the world in a very different way as an ability to help. Like, look, we have a lot of fun. We laugh. I mean, part of our shtick is we laugh and make fun of things, which I'm never going to stop doing. That's just who we are. But, like, he doesn't see the world that way. It's always a building block. Mm-hmm. He's trying to help something. He's trying to build something. He's done that his entire life. And then when you hear him talk about basketball, you hear the passion involved in it and the passion that his family has for teaching kids.
Right. If you send your kid to college, you hope they're surrounded by people like Tom.
Like that guy. Exactly like that guy. If that guy shows up in your living room, you're like, well, I know somebody's taking care of my kid.
Right.
It's just what a delight. Thank you for coming in, Coach Crean. Really appreciate it. That's a hell of a program. You got a little bit of everything. Remember, you got to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel to hear more like this. And we're going to do some diverse interview. We're going to get some different stuff in here because, like you, we also have an array of interests around here.
It's a variety program.
It's a variety program. So thanks for listening. And with that, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Coach Crean, and thank you so much to the Minions. Seems like a lot of you have been sharing our show with your friends. We love seeing our subscriber count go up, so like and subscribe if you have not yet. So, until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you Tuesday. Stay ruthless.